One click from you can keep this channel alive. Like, subscribe, and share. The scene opens on a desolate stretch of English marshland, shrouded in the deepening twilight. A thick, clammy fog rolls across the landscape, clinging to the ground like a shroud and obscuring the horizon. The air is heavy with the damp, earthy smell of decaying vegetation and wet soil. In the background, a chorus of frogs begins its nightly serenade, their croaking calls echoing eerily through the misty air, punctuated by the distant hoot of an owl. Ancient willow trees, their branches gnarled and twisted like the arthritic fingers of old men, hang low over the water's edge. Their long, weeping tendrils trail into the still, black surface of the swamp, creating dark, spidery reflections that seem to writhe in the fading light. The water itself is a perfect, undisturbed mirror of obsidian, reflecting the bruised purple and orange hues of the dying day with a glassy, unnatural stillness. The entire atmosphere is one of profound isolation and creeping dread, a place where nature itself seems to hold its breath, waiting for the night to fully descend. Into this unsettling tranquility, the cheerful, high-pitched shouts of children at play ring out, a stark and jarring contrast to the somber environment. A small group of them, no older than 10, are chasing each other near the very edge of the treacherous swamp. Their laughter, usually a sound of pure joy, here sounds fragile and misplaced, as if it's being swallowed by the vast, silent expanse around them. They are blissfully ignorant of the dangers that lurk just beyond the reeds, their youthful energy making them reckless. They dare each other to step closer to the water, to dip their toes in the cold, murky depths, completely disregarding the stern warnings their grandmother had imparted to them just that morning. She had spoken in hushed, fearful tones of the things that lived in the swamp, of old tales passed down through generations about the spirits of the marsh. But to these children, her stories were just that, stories, meant to scare them into obedience, not to be taken as literal truth. The allure of the forbidden and the thrill of their game was far more compelling than the half-remembered words of an old woman. The camera pushes in, focusing on a close-up of the murky green water. The surface, which was once perfectly still, begins to show signs of disturbance. A series of small, concentric ripples expands outward from an unseen point beneath the surface, spreading silently across the water like a whispered secret. The movement is subtle at first, almost imperceptible, as if a large fish has just stirred in the depths. But then another set of ripples follows, and another, more pronounced this time. The camera lingers on the water, capturing the way the last vestiges of daylight catch on the disturbed surface, creating shifting, distorted patterns of light and shadow. Something significant is moving down there, something with weight and purpose. The sound design amplifies the tension. The croaking of the frogs seems to momentarily falter, and a low, resonant gurgle, like a deep and watery sigh, bubbles up from below. The shot holds, forcing the audience to stare into the opaque green depths, imagining what unseen horror is beginning to stir from its slumber in the silt and mud at the bottom of the swamp. Suddenly, a new sound cuts through the ambient noise of the marsh, faint and ethereal, a haunting lullaby, sung in a soft, melodic voice, begins to drift from the heart of the fog. The melody is simple, almost childlike, yet it carries an undercurrent of profound sadness and an ancient, chilling quality. It seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, its source impossible to pinpoint, echoing through the mist, as if the swamp itself were singing. The children stop their game, their laughter dying on their lips as they turn their heads, trying to locate the source of the beautiful yet unsettling music. The lullaby grows slightly louder, its notes weaving a hypnotic spell that seems to pull at the very air, drawing the world into a state of mesmerized silence. The sound is strangely inviting, promising comfort and peace, yet it feels fundamentally wrong in this desolate place. It is a siren's call, a sweet and gentle melody masking a dark and predatory intent, and its ethereal notes hang in the damp air like a spider's web, delicate and deadly. The camera pans slowly, deliberately, back to the water's surface where the ripples first appeared. Breaking the surface with an unnerving, deliberate slowness, a face begins to emerge from the murky green depths. It is a pale, sickly green color, the shade of stagnant pond, water, and decaying leaves. Long, stringy strands of dark green hair, matted with moss and conduit, cling to its scalp and frame its gaunt features like a grotesque veil. The skin is slick and wet, stretched taut over high cheekbones and a pointed chin. Its lips, thin and tinged with blue, part two reveal a row of sharp, needle-like teeth, filed two vicious points, and stained a dark, brownish green. But it is the eyes that are most terrifying, set deep within shadowed sockets. They glow with a faint, sickly yellow light, like two dying embers submerged in water. This is Jenny Greenteeth, the ancient terror of the marsh, risen from her watery lair. She is the embodiment of the grandmother's warnings, the folklore monster made flesh, and her presence transforms the unsettling atmosphere into one of active, palpable menace. Jenny Greenteeth's glowing yellow eyes fix upon the children. Her head tilts slightly, a curious, predatory gesture. The haunting lullaby ceases, replaced by a soft, sibilant whisper that seems to slither through the air. "Come closer," she coaxes, her voice a rustle of dry leaves and bubbling water. "Come see the pretty things I have for you." Her words are not shouted, but spoken with a gentle, persuasive tone that is far more terrifying than any scream. One of the children, a young boy with wide, curious eyes, is captivated, while his friends hang back, a nascent fear finally dawning on their faces. He takes a tentative step forward. He is drawn in by her hypnotic voice and the strange, otherworldly light in her eyes. He is mesmerized, his own will seemingly dissolving in the face of her enchanting call. The lullaby begins again, softer this time, a private melody just for him, pulling him forward one step at a time, closer and closer to the water's edge, where the green-skinned monster waits patiently. The suspense is ratcheted up through a series of slow, deliberate camera movements and unsettling visuals. The camera creeps along the muddy bank, offering a low-angle perspective that makes the swamp seem vast and Jenny Greenteeth impossibly tall and menacing as she rises further from the water. The sound design becomes a character in itself. The gentle lapping of the water against the shore is amplified, each small sound imbued with a sense of dread. Eerie, atmospheric tones drone in the background, a low-frequency hum that creates a feeling of deep unease. The camera cuts to brief, disturbing shots of objects half sunken in the mud near the water's edge. A forgotten doll with one eye missing, its porcelain face cracked and stained green with algae. A small, brightly colored toy boat, now waterlogged and decaying, a tattered leather ball, its surface covered in slime. These are the relics of past victims, grim trophies of the monster's long and terrible reign. The shots linger on the damp, decaying textures of the reeds and the slick, glistening mud, creating a gothic atmosphere thick with the stench of death and folklore come to life. The climax arrives with shocking and brutal swiftness. The curious boy, now standing at the very precipice of the bank, reaches a hand out towards Jenny Greenteeth, his face a mask of childlike wonder and fascination. In that instant, her gentle expression vanishes, replaced by a mask of ravenous hunger. Her smile widens into a terrifying, predatory grin, revealing the full horror of her needle-sharp teeth. With a movement too fast for the human eye to properly follow, a long, green, web-fingered hand shoots out from the water and grabs his outstretched arm. The boy has no time to scream. His eyes widen in a moment of pure, uncomprehending terror as he is yanked forward with incredible force. He vanishes beneath the surface of the swamp in an explosion of churning water and bubbles. For a brief, horrific moment, the dark green water where he disappeared blooms with a deep, spreading cloud of crimson. The color of blood is stark and vivid against the murky backdrop. Before it, too, is swallowed by the swamp, dissipating into the black depths, as if it were never there. An hour later, the flickering lights of lanterns cut through the fog. The villagers, alerted by the boy's terrified friends who had fled the scene, have arrived at the swamp. Their faces are grim, etched with a mixture of fear and resigned sorrow. They scan the water's edge, their calls echoing unanswered into the oppressive silence of the night. The frogs have fallen silent, and even the wind seems to hold its breath. The search is hopeless, and they know it. All they find is a single, mud-caked shoe lying abandoned on the bank, a solitary, heartbreaking testament to the tragedy that has just unfolded. The water is still once more, its dark surface betraying no sign of the violence that occurred, only the quiet ripples lapping gently at the shore. The swamp has claimed another victim, and the old legend has once again proven to be a grim reality. The villagers stand in somber silence, their lantern light a feeble defense against the ancient darkness that surrounds them. The final scene cuts to the grandmother's cottage. It is late at night, and the house is dark save for a single lamp casting a warm, golden glow. Through the window, we see the old woman, her face a mask of grief and weary resignation. Her shoulders are slumped, the weight of the night's events and a lifetime of knowing the truth of the swamp pressing down on her. With a slow, heavy movement, she reaches out and closes the wooden shutters, blocking out the sight of the marsh and the encroaching darkness. As the shutters click shut, plunging the room into near total blackness, a faint, familiar sound drifts on the night air. From the direction of the swamp, impossibly clear despite the closed window, comes the haunting, ethereal melody of the lullaby. It is a chilling reminder that Jenny Greenteeth is still out there, singing her timeless, deadly song in the deep, dark water, forever waiting for the next curious child to stray too close to her domain. One click from you can keep this channel alive. Like, subscribe, and share.